tundra for game will tell you that you learn the most by watching the edges. In Alaska, I imagined I could work on the outer edge of culture, drawing my music more directly from the earth. I listened for that music in the mountains and on the tundra, on the shoulders of glaciers and the shores of the Arctic Ocean, and in the northern forest, learning the songs of the birds. From the moment I arrived in Alaska, at the age of 22, I knew I would live there. And for much of my life, I imagined I would die there. But the deaths of two dear friends, changes in my own health, and a shrinking sense of possibility in Alaskan society eventually compelled me to leave. At the turn of the new century, as climate change began to accelerate, even the extreme cold that made us feel special as Alaskans began to recede. Alaska was becoming too much like the country I had tried to escape. Yet Alaska did not fail me. In spite of our broken frontier dreams, in spite of the destruction that we humans continue to visit on the land and the waters, the animals and the climate, Alaska is still Alaska. Any failure I may have felt in leaving Alaska was a failure of my own imagination. And now I stand alone on a beach far to the south, listening to the Pacific. As each wave rolls in, booming, roaring, growling, hissing, I listen to its voice, the unique contours of its rising and falling, its singular crescendo and diminuendo. I listen for the interval between this wave and the wave before it, and the one that comes after. I listen as the waves advance and retreat, melding and passing through one another, crashing like cymbals on the shore. I listen to the small stones clattering over one another, pulled inexorably back into the water that stretches away toward Asia. I do my best to listen as intently, as deeply as I can. Even so, my mind wanders. A plastic bottle among the rocks reminds me that there are vast islands of garbage drifting far out at sea. A strong gust of wind reminds me of the increasingly capricious weather and of the storms that lash this and other shores with growing ferocity. The burning sunlight reminds me of melting tundra and expanding deserts, of diminishing polar ice and rising seas all over the earth. How can I stand here today and not think of these things? Yet, if you ask me if I'm composing a piece about climate change, I will tell you, no, not really. Then, is this music about the sea? Yes. Well, in a way. But what I really hope is that this music is an ocean of its own, an expansive sea of sound that just may carry the listener away into an oceanic state of mind. As a composer, I believe that music has the power to inspire a renewal of human consciousness, culture, and politics, and yet I refuse to make political art. More often than not, political art fails as politics, and all too often it fails as art. From the titles of my works, Songbird Songs, In the White Silence, Become Ocean, it's clear that I draw inspiration from the world around me. But when I enter my studio, I do so with the hope of leaving the world behind, at least for a while. Of course, it's impossible to sustain that state of grace for long. Inevitably, thoughts intrude. Sometimes I think about people, places, and experiences in my life, the independent souls and the frozen stillness, the solitude and camaraderie I knew in Alaska. Sometimes I think about the larger state of the world and the uncertain future of humanity. And sometimes I think about the smaller world just outside my door. If my music can draw people to be fully present, to listen deeply to this world that we share,